Good evening, YouTube. Getting on here to post this video. This is something that has been weighing heavily on my mind due to recent events here in my state where I live in Florida. My name is Pierce. I'm owner of a veteran-owned company here in Florida, in Lakeland, and specialize in security consultations and firearms training preparedness for many different areas. It doesn't matter if it's for churches where I give seminars or universities or many other areas. And the point of this video tonight is many these days seem to focus on their own prerogatives, whether they have a political agenda or other. And the point of this is that many forego the reality. And the reality is we don't need to focus on the guns. We need to focus on awareness. And awareness is the biggest issue, instead of focusing on trying to promote what a leader is supposed to be or what somebody else believes they should be promoting because it helps them with their own agenda. We need to focus on giving awareness to these businesses. I can't speak for all the other professionals out there with security background, intelligence background, but the reality is this is terrorism. There are three categories of it, and that is violence for effect, theater of the obscene, and aimed at the people watching. Now you choose which area you think we fall into currently with the tragedy that happened in Orlando. Okay, there are many different types, whether it's bombing, whether it's hijacking. There's a lot of different types that it can go to. But the important part is that we need to make businesses, we need to make individuals aware of what terrorism is. Okay. There are 6 motivating factors when it comes to it. There's psychological, there's personal, there's economic, mercenary, revolutionary, and ideological. Many of these can fall in the same areas. Okay, it's not just one or the other. They can fall into multiple of these. It's not my job to tell you what they fall into. Use your common sense and figure it out yourself. I'm not here to babysit you. Okay, the biggest thing that we have against us when it comes to terrorism is they pick the target selection, and they have the element of surprise. Now, they can use multiple different ways for surveillance. They can use overt or they can use covert. Overt is obviously going to be very obvious. They're going to be out there, they're going to be using their phone, other cameras, they're going to be making notes, they're going to be surveilling your business and assessing what type of security do you have. Is it a hard target or is it a soft target? And you need to decide, do you have, out of the 3 tiers of a security cordon, whether it's an inner, outer, or the middle, how strong is your security cordon? That inner being, do you have armed security, such as they had there in Orlando with OPD, who did an awesome job. I can't speak for them, I wasn't there, but for all intents and purposes, from what I've been reading and seeing, they did their job. They engaged when they saw that shooter come in. And, my hat's off to you, gentlemen, and to you first responders that really stepped up. Okay. But you got to remember, when it comes to terrorism, that they're going to go through multiple stages too. Okay. First is they're going to pick their target. Now, as we have seen in the news, and it's been made aware more and more to us, the fact is that he surveilled, Omar Mateen surveilled multiple different areas. He went to that same location to Pulse for at least 11 months. There were, witnesses say they believe they've seen him multiple times over there. He had previous contact with an individual there. Pretty much seems like there's some premeditation there. And he selected that target, selected Disney. We don't know if he selected anywhere else. But the point is, he assessed those targets and he assessed their security. Okay. Next, you go into that surveillance. Right after that target selection, or pre-target selection as it's called, you go into surveillance and you determine, what positive and negatives of what your target is. And then you do your final target selection. And that's what he did. He chose Pulse as his final target selection. And he put a lot of planning into it. Again, what the news puts out there is that there was a timeline in between when he purchased those firearms. Now, I don't know. As a security professional who's been doing this almost a decade, not including my military service, I can say that, it sure seemed to me like he went and put a lot of thought and maybe took that job as a security professional to learn what it's like and how the state of Florida works with security. I don't know. But it does make sense that when he started that he may have used that. Okay. Next, after that final selection, he's got his planning. He put a lot of time and a lot of effort into the planning, at least from what I've seen in the news. Okay. Then he's got his deployment. One of the witnesses say they recall seeing him out there an hour before, walking around in a dark hat and I believe a jacket that he was walking around in. Okay. That was an hour before he went in to commit that atrocious act of terrorism. Okay. The next is the target arrival. Obviously, it was him actually arriving at the target that he'd already done his surveillance on. He'd already done his homework. And then the attack. Okay. In that short, brief amount of time, he did a lot of damage. Yes, obviously he used a firearm. But stop focusing on the hardware and start focusing on the software. Figure out what makes people tick and focus on it. Take these businesses, instead of you politicians getting out there and running your own agenda, ask. I'm willing to bet there's plenty of other security professionals out there, and I will do it. I will step up and gladly help guide some of these businesses, guide some individuals, and let them know what to look for, how to understand the surveillance and how it works. Because that is how we help stop these attacks, by informing the public and getting them aware of what an attack, what surveillance looks like, how to detect it. If you've got a business and you perceive that you're a possible target based on religious beliefs, based on ideological beliefs, or many other areas, be proactive. Don't be reactive. Okay? Get a plan. Get your emergency action plan. And if you don't have one, you need to get one. Train it. Practice it. If you've got security, get them on board. Get your staff on board and have a plan. FEMA teaches the run, hide, fight. Everybody's got their own version. You know, the difference between law enforcement and a civilian is that law enforcement and such has the duty to act. Civilians, we have the right to act. Okay? It's up to you as the boots on the ground whether or not you choose to fight, you choose to hide, or you choose to run. Maybe instead of running all the time and hiding, maybe it's time we fight. Maybe it's time that we stand up for what we believe in as America and defend our country. It may not depend on the politicians to do it. Maybe it's on us to step up and give these businesses, these fellow Americans that we have, the ability and the awareness that they need, instead of focusing on guns. No kidding. A gun causes damage, but it is the person behind that gun. Get on the education side. Get on the awareness side. That is where you're going to stop the problem, or at least help deter it. The state of Florida, on the security side, observe and report. You know what? If you had more people out there that were observing and reporting in their line of work or at the door instead of playing on their phones or doing other stuff, and they knew what to look for, they'd do a lot better job than standing around pretending that suddenly with security and having this license that they know what they're doing. When I started off in this job, doing it many years ago, working in high-risk, low-income areas, it was a learning curve for me, even coming out of the military. Now, I've taken my own personal time and money and made it out of my way to go get training and experience in executive protection, disaster deployments, fugitive extradition, church security, many other areas, and I took that upon myself. Some may go with the term of the sheepdog. That is fine. That is what I am. I took an oath many years ago to defend this country from all enemies. Okay? We have an enemy. They are here. Be aware. It doesn't mean that they're all going to dress a certain way or they're all going to act a certain way. But if you know what to look for, if you know where that standoff footprint is, that area where they're going to set up and get the surveillance on you and walk around and ask, confront them. Don't be scared. Don't be feared to be judged. Step up. For all intents and purposes, from what I can see, the FBI did their job. Not only once, not twice, but thrice. They stepped up, they saw an issue, and whether it was for political correctness or whatever, people would not let them do their job. And instead of allowing them to step in and do their job and possibly putting this gentleman under the necessary watch list or keeping him from buying a firearm in doing this, they weren't allowed to do that for whatever reason. And that's just a shame. Okay? I get that we're going to have plenty of people on here, throw out your negative comments. I don't care. What I do care about is my country. What I do care about is getting people aware. That's it. If you're aware and you're paying attention to your surroundings. Situational awareness is a great term to throw out there, and many other instructors I hear throw it out there, but they don't know what it means. Learn what it means. Read the book by Patrick Van Horn, Left to Bang. It breaks down situational awareness into what it really needs to be, which is those 6 domains. It really explains that for us that have been in those situations and seen things or felt those hairs on our necks or felt that gut feeling, it gives us a way to identify what it was, why we felt that. Read The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker. Educate yourself. Don't get distracted by, obviously, Facebook. Don't get distracted by YouTube. Don't get distracted by everything else going on there. If it's important to you to help stop this violence, armchair quarterbacking and telling somebody what they should have done or how they could have done something different isn't the way. Make yourself aware. Help others. If you are aware and you have the professional background or the inclination, get out there, learn, and help share it. Don't sit back there and blame an object. Okay? That wasn't all the fault. The fault was the person behind that object. You may not know it, you may not realize it, but many of us sheepdogs carry, male, female, doesn't matter race, doesn't matter color, doesn't matter any of that. We carry a concealed firearm, and we carry it for a reason. We don't want to have to use it. And God forbid the day ever comes that we do have to use it. But we are here to help. We're not here to get on and America, pew, 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 like so many people see. We're not a bunch of uneducated rednecks. We take pride in what we do, and we take pride in helping just protect our fellow man and woman. Okay? That's all. That's all it's about. We're not asking you to be afraid of us, because we're not there. I believe the last numbers were over 2 million plus firearm owners out there and concealed carry permit holders. You don't know us. We mean nothing to you until something like this happens, and then people go after the guns. Why? It's easy. It's simple to just look at that and go, yeah, it's the gun's fault. Focus on the people, the person behind that gun. That's the problem. Make people aware. Let them know how to look for somebody that may be there to cause them harm. Like the FBI says, see something, say something. Use your common sense. Don't yell, the sky is falling like Chicken Little. Get out there, be aware, be educated. There's plenty of other people out there that, have much more knowledge and education than I do. And I ask them to step up too. I don't know it all, but I am willing to share what I do know from my own experience and my own knowledge of doing this for a while. Okay? Reach out. If you have questions, ask. If I don't know the answer, I'll find it for you. And if I don't know the answer, I'll reach out to some of my connections that may have the answer. Plenty of other resources out there. But educate yourself. Know what to look for. Don't just sit back and blame it on all this other stuff going on. Blame it on a gun. Politicians, instead of maybe standing back and blaming a gun, maybe it's time that you actually lead the country. Instead of dividing us over inanimate objects, over race, over religion, over beliefs, maybe it's time that you unite us. That's the change that we need. That's the change America needs. Step up. That's all. If you got questions, please ask. God bless America. One of my favorite Bible verses is Proverbs 22:3. The prudent man foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. Which one are you?